Hello, Jim 12's here again. Today is the 4th of June 2026 and today I'm going to be reflecting on Islam. This is related to the 14th chapter of my book, While We Were Sleeping, available on Amazon. Link down below. Anyway, here we go. Nearly finished the book. Only one more chapter to go. So, Islam. Let me start with describing a series of dots, and I trust that by the end of this little chat I will have drawn them all together. Let's see. Number one, socialism's dream of a secular global communist state, which is destroying all that's good from the Judeo-Christian roots of the West. I believe that's real. I believe that secular socialism is out to destroy Judaism, Christianity, and in its place raise up a communist state across the world. Number two, Tommy Robinson. Now, Tommy Robinson grew up in a town called Luton in England, which isn't that far from where I spent most of my English working life. So I know Luton. And in 2009, he started his activism because he was concerned with the rise of Muslim gangs in the city and making it safe, particularly for women and girls. Number three, Ayaan Hirsi Ali. Now, the latest book I've read of hers is called Pray, and it basically focuses on the erosion of women's rights, particularly in Europe, and the way, well, following on from Tommy Robinson's concern that it was no longer safe for women particularly to be out alone in certain parts of cities in Europe. It's a harrowing book and a nice play on words with the title. Yes, it is P-R-E-Y, and yes, we should pray, P-R-A-Y, for the situation. Ayaan Hirsi Ali came out from Africa, where she was a Muslim refugee, and she ended up in the Netherlands and eventually became a member of parliament there. So quite an extraordinary testimony in itself. Number four, an Islamic Caliphate. It may be a term that we hear bandied about, but I looked up its definition, and it refers to a state ruled by a political/religious leader, a supreme leader, whose primary focus is to ensure that Islamic law is upheld in that state, and that law being Sharia law. Now, that's exactly what the IRGC have been doing for decades in Iran, ensuring the upholding of Islamic law. You may think that's their business. You may think, what's that to do with us? Well, that's a fair point. Surely every nation should be have its own autonomy and ability to make its own decisions. Sure, I accept that principle. Number five, globalize the Intifada. Globalize the Intifada. Now, you may have heard that phrase as well, bandied about. literally meaning an uprising or a shaking off of oppression. And particularly it's been used in relation to the Palestinian uprising against the Jews and Israel. So the term globalize the Intifada basically means let's bring this uprising and shaking off to the whole of the world. Ringing bells with the first point of the socialist dream of a global secular communist society. Now, that's my sixth point, that it seems absolutely so obvious, actually, that there should be a synergy between Islam and socialism, because they both want global domination. They both have different roots, of course, but maybe they can be seen as having a common goal. So what I've described so far are the facts about Islam, and of course I'm talking about the whole Muslim Islamic faith culture. I'm not talking about individual Muslims who may or may not be particularly religious. They may be very secular. You know, go to church if you like, Christmas and Easter type Muslims. Which brings me to my last point. And this is in relation particularly to the testimony that I've got in chapter 14 in my book, Gordon Hickson's testimony. Now, he's a friend of mine, has been since the 70s, and we were in the same church. He was my pastor at one point, and we've kept contact ever since. Anyway, he ended up becoming a vicar, if you like, a reverend in the Anglican Church in Oxford, England. And while there, God got him by the scruff of the neck, so to speak, and gave him a mission to reach 30 million Muslims for Jesus. Quite an audacious dream, if you will. So that's where I want to end this little chat about Islam, because whatever is going on in the wider world, what is my responsibility? To feed on that fear? To drive a wedge between one society and another? To close down discussion? No. I think my role is to intercede for Muslims. Yes, one little me interceding for the Muslim race globally, interceding for the Muslim people globally, the Muslim people in my street, over my back fence. And Gordon Hickson's testimony is all about a movement that he started, which is now global, called Mahaba. A very awkward word to describe or to pronounce, Mahaba, but it means love in Arabic. So basically Gordon is saying, let's love the Muslims, love them into salvation. Yes, they are sincerely, they are just like us, and there's no earthly reason why they shouldn't receive Jesus like us. And I am so encouraged when I hear of Muslims having a vision of Jesus on their own, perhaps even in their mosque. And basically, if we can reach out to them and show them by our actions and our personal testimony, rather than a theological debate, I believe that they will find Jesus. I'm so thrilled to hear of mosques being closed down in Iran. I'm so thrilled to hear of the underground church in Iran. I am absolutely gutted when I think of and remember the 40,000, one estimate, of Iranians murdered, slaughtered by their own government at the beginning of this year, because they don't want, the majority don't want, Sharia law, and they're rising up against their rulers. So I am with them in their struggle, and I don't want us ever to forget the sacrifice that they have made. Would I be on the streets if I was a Muslim in Iran? It's too hard to say, but I so sympathise and pray for the suffering Muslims around the world, and pray against the spiritual hosts of wickedness out to destroy and kill and plunder everything that is actually good. So thanks for listening. I pray that this will be of some encouragement, a shaft of light, of hope, in what some would see as a very dark period of time. Till next time, bye for now.